Today, on episode 75 of the Signature Style Systems podcast, we're exploring 8 spring 2025 trends with a focus on finding clarity around whether or not they will work for you. I'm Rebecca Mielke. As your visual identity guide, I take you on a journey of self-discovery so you can align your inner and outer self, show up confidently, and contribute your gifts to the world. As your first step to self-discovery, I invite you to download my free guide, Discover Your Style DNA, a guide to seasonal energy and personality colors. You can find the link in the show description or at my website, signaturestylesystems.com. Okay, so I first want to acknowledge the Everyday Style School podcast, which recently released their spring trend forecast and inspired today's episode. What I love about trend forecasts is that they give us an overview of what's happening in fashion, which provides insight into what you're likely to find in the stores. I don't like focus on trends so much because my approach is really about what's personal to your look, but it's important to know that if you are, if a trend that's popular right now is in all the stores, now's when you want to, and that trend works for you really well. Now's when you want to make sure you buy that. Yeah. So what I like to do today is build on the foundation of that episode by helping you understand how to evaluate the trends, some of them, I'm not going to cover all of them, through the lens of your style DNA. So I use DNA as an acronym for design, and by that I mean body design, your physical attributes. The N is needs. So that's like your lifestyle, what you actually need and wear. And then aesthetic, that is the A, and that is your unique vision of beauty that resonates with your soul. So let's explore these 8 trends for spring 2025, organized into 4 categories. So there's aesthetic directions, colors and patterns, key items, and accessories. Then for each trend, I'll kind of highlight what's most important for you to consider. So the first aesthetic direction trend is fisherman-core. So this is like nautical, but more earthy, less preppy. It includes like practical things like raincoats, I think of like fisherman sweaters, and then a function or a focus on functionality, um, like raincoats, rain boots. I have a pair of really fun rain boots that I got at the gardening center. And anyway, so the key style DNA consideration here is needs. What does your lifestyle require? So fisherman core is perfect for people who live in climates with rainy spring weather and moderate temperatures. Um, I don't need that super much here in Spokane because our weather is more mountainy. Like this morning, it's sort of rainy looking, but really it's snowing. And and then when it's warm, this time when it's moderate is really short. So it's hard to get a lot of wear out of like a mid-weight coat. But if you're like over on the coast, 100% fisherman core, maybe not 100%, but it would work for you really well. If you value functionality. So if you're the person who values functionality, you're the one who gets to be high style this season. And then if you have outdoor focused activities in your regular routine, and that's probably almost all of us here in the Northwest or even in the Western United States, pretty much. So this isn't a core aesthetic for me, but it is a fun trend. I like it. And I can give a nod to this trend with this necklace that I've had for years. And the hero really never liked it because it looked to him like a fishnet. It's just a bunch of circles connected to each other. And Anyway, yeah, so that's fisherman core. The second aesthetic direction is ruffle core. And so some of the feminine details that you might notice this spring are things like ruffles or even like vertical ruffles, chiffon, lace, eyelet, and then lingerie inspired elements are things like tops that are designed like a corset, that type of thing. So for this trend, your body's design elements are the most important consideration. And ruffles and romantic details tend to relate to um, naturally curved lines in your body. And then and actually same with your face. They complement softer or rounder facial features, like even like your eyes being round or your cheeks being round, that type of thing. But it's possible to find pieces where the ruffles are more structured or architectural rather than frilly. And it's also perfectly fine to sit out a trend if it's not for you. Same with this next one as I go into the color and patterns trends. The color trend is pastels. So like soft, light Easter egg kinds of colors. They're popping up this spring with a fresh perspective. Sort of feels both nostalgic and modern, like the houses in Edward Scissorhands. The key style DNA consideration here is aesthetic. Many people just don't feel like themselves in pastels, and that's perfectly fine. However, um, even if you normally avoid pastels, there might be just one specific soft light hue that resonates with you. It could be related to your blush color. It could be related to the whites of your eyes. Um, so if there's one that you have, get an outfit in that. Or try a monochromatic color scheme if the pastels really aren't for you, but you want to acknowledge the trend. Take like a color that does work really well for you, a version of a color like a navy or a cobalt, and then wear it with just a touch of the pastel version in a monochromatic scheme, like the blues with like a lighter or robin's egg blue, that type of thing. And then if pastels don't align with your aesthetic, just don't force it. Sit that one out. Okay, so here's one that's interesting. Checks, plaids, gingham. So for this trend, design is the crucial consideration. Specifically, I'm talking about the alignment of your facial features. So this is super interesting, something that I learned from my mentor, Carla Mathis, that standard grid pattern fabrics like on-grain patterns that's, I guess, what designers call them. They tend to work best for people whose eyes are aligned horizontally point to point, rather than, how some people's eyes, they angle up a little bit at at the outer edge, or some people's eyes, they angle down a little bit at the outer edge. And then also they just these standard grid pattern fabrics. They tend to emphasize symmetry in your features. One of the things you can do is like with a plaid, if your face is longer rather than wide, you can have the the distance vertically between the lines be between the plaids or whatever be longer than the horizontal. But if you love checks and you have more angled and or like asymmetrical features, you can look for designs where the checks are set diagonally, like it's bias cut or just cut on the diagonal. And this adds a more dynamic quality. What I think is really fun is like, I don't know, like little gingham shirts with the placket or the yoke in the diagonal and then the main part of the body in the straight on the grain. But there's lots of different options. And anyway, so that's that trend. The key items, trend number 5 is barrel leg jeans. So when considering this trend, focus on your needs, like how many pairs of jeans do you need? Because barrel leg jeans are surprisingly versatile across body types. A couple things to note, the tapered leg shape visually elongates legs. And then the shape allows for comfort while looking fresh, up to date, and current. So this shape's been coming on for a few years. So if you don't already have a pair and you think you probably will sooner or later, just now is probably the time. All right, trend number 6. This is also fun, sculptural wedges. And then this is also one that's design important. I was going to say dependent, but it's not. Uh, what you love trumps all the other things. Um, but here's something to consider. Uh, Consider the shape of the muscles in your calf, because for a lot of us, the shape of those muscles is visible. We may not have visible abdominal muscles, but most of us have visible calf muscles. And if those muscles look round, then a rounded shape in a sculptural wedge could be really harmonious. And then I've noticed some people who like the muscles in their calves, they really look angular, straighter lines, kind of almost like triangles. And so look for straighter lines in a sculptural wedge in that case. Maybe just like a straight line in and out or something like that. I especially love wedges for spring and summer, now that most weddings are held in pastures. I guess I should say so your heels don't sink in, but I think everybody probably gets that. Okay, accessories trends. Stacked bangles. Call it an arm party and wear stacked bracelets. And then for this jewelry trend, the key style DNA factor would be your aesthetic, just your personal expression of beauty. This trend appeals to people who are more maximalist and people who enjoy mixing different concepts creatively. So if your aesthetic is more minimalist, you might just want like one large geometric piece or something like that, rather than a bunch of smaller pieces grouped. And then the final trend is statement belts. So belt styles are sort of becoming focal points again, rather than just functional items with wider width, interesting textures, and distinctive buckles. And then I'm just going to talk about the needs category for this trend. There are obviously design and aesthetic considerations as well, but talking about wardrobe uh, functionality and practicality, belts fulfill the essential need of filling visible belt loops. I know that like not everybody thinks that's important, but I notice when they're not filled, and yeah, it just feels a little bit unfinished. So you can minimize the number of belts that you need by choosing ones that either match your hair color or just one in your best metallic. And a statement belt can be the finishing touch that brings cohesion to your look while fulfilling the functional purpose of filling your visible belt loops. And then a timely and creative way of doing that would be if you like a print belt, use that to tie your outfit together so you can have multiple solid colors in your outfit pieces and then all of them in the belt. And that is a really fun way of putting an outfit together. So as you consider which spring 2025 trends to adopt, remember you don't have to embrace them all. You're going to get the most longevity from choosing wardrobe items that work with your style DNA and feel like you when you wear them. If you're curious about diving deeper into understanding your unique style DNA, my Essential Signature Style Guide helps to reveal your body's design elements, and also the main thing is your aesthetic preferences. So you can learn more at my website, signaturestylesystems.com. Now, here's a simple action you can do this week to integrate what I talked about today. So visit a store that carries some of these spring 2025 trends. It could be a department store, a boutique, it could be Target. You will find these trends there. It could be a thrift store. And just select one item that represents a trend you're curious but unsure about and try it on. If you want to go a step further and study it objectively, you can take a photo of yourself in the item. But yeah, just give it a try. Thanks for being here for the Signature Style Systems podcast. Have fun being you, and I will meet you back here again real soon.